Solid light was the term that seemed appropriate to a form in which there was a paradox at the centre, which was that obviously light can't be solid. But one's experience of one of these installations was to feel it was as if it were, and the membranes of light are difficult to walk through. You know, you feel you're invading something. Every idea I have of every image I think of, or every quote I like, goes into my A6 notebooks. After that, if it begins to be a work that has legs and seems to be worth exploring further, I go to a large notebook, and I'll start working more systematically and developing the ideas more carefully. There is a through line going from the very earliest solid light piece to the present. To some degree, there's a kind of performative element in these works, which I have no control over, actually, because it depends on the interaction between the work and the visitor. The scale of a solid light piece is essentially scaled with the knowledge that the human body is going to be passing through it. It's a scale in which if you move down the beam and extend your arms and legs, you have that Vitruvian Man moment where you can sort of just about touch every side with your feet or your hands. The Chipperfield architecture at Hepworth. Yeah, I thought it was a space I could do business with. He's made the most wonderful volumes, these spaces which are square-ish. It's hard to exactly explain why, but they are sympathetic spaces to try to manipulate and work within. Perhaps the most important problem that I had in the late 70s was the realization that the work was completely invisible. And it turned out that I had been working all along with a medium I'd been unaware of, which you would call dust. I was making work in an old lofts, showing it in old lofts, which are full of dust. And so between the cigarette smoking and the dust, there was never a visibility issue. But once they were shown in the museums, because the air was so clean and there was no smoking, they simply didn't exist. To fast forward, the most important thing that happened in the 90s for me was the invention of the haze machine, which suddenly brought the works back to life. You know, you're never actually in the complete darkness. The work itself throws off a kind of silvery light, rather like moonlight. People have many different ways to look. Some are quite active, some are quite noisy, some are very quiet, private. Other people talk to you. And in my installations, there's often a kind of quiet murmur. I mean, people meet people they don't know in the dark. There is a social side to these installations, which I believe is very important. I like the relationship between work and the visitor. The visitor comes and goes on their own time and decides how long to spend. And that brings me to another aspect of time, which is that the motion, the speed of motion of these works is always quite slow. The reason being that I found that if you make the motion quite fast, then the visitor stops in their tracks and waits as if they're watching something go by, rather than becoming engaged and going in and looking at the work as if it were sculpture.